Good afternoon, members, and to to our viewing public who are watching through our live feed television and through our social media platform. The chair now calls this Ways and Means budget hearing meeting into order, and with 10 members present this afternoon, we duly established a quorum to conduct our order of business for today. So we move down to item 12, adoption of the agenda, and do I hear a motion? There is a motion to adopt today's agenda and has been seconded. Discussion on the motion. All those in favor, please say aye. Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. Motion is adopted. Moving along, we are now on item 3, public comments, and at this time, the chair opens the podium for any of our members of the public who are here, the gallery and in the lobby, who wishes to provide oral testimony. Podium is open. Seeing that there is no public comments, therefore the chair now closes public comments and moves further down on our order of business. Item 4, introduction. And under introduction, the chair would like to introduce the Committee on Ways and Means to the NMC family, the PROA family, and starting by myself. My name is John Paul Sablan, Chair of the Committee on Ways and Means. And to my left is Madam Floor Leader, member of the Committee on Ways and Means. To her left, we have Representative Joel Camacho, and to his left, we have Representative Ralph Yumo. To his left, we have Representative Angelo Camacho. To his left, we have Representative Julie Ogo. To her left, we have Representative Malcolm Omar. And across the aisle, we have Representative Eli Rangomar. To his left, we have Representative Denita Yangtamay. And to her left, we have Representative TJ Manglonia. We will be, members will be coming momentarily to join us as well. Assisting our committee this morning by our bureau staff, starting by our legal counsel, Joe Bermudez, and Ms. Carrie. We have our fiscal analyst, Mr. Cameron Nicolas. We have our senior legislative assistant, Ms. Claire Sablan. And helping us through our IT is Mr. Jonathan Diaz. Also assisting the Committee on Ways and Means is Ms. V from the Administration, Office of Management and Budget, and with our staff as well, Ms. Jasmine Camacho. So with that, under introduction, item A, statement from the chair. The chair will now like to formally extend our appreciation to you, IP Frankie, and your PROA team for coming before this August body so that we can discuss the budget submission by your entity and also the budget proposal by the administration. So with that, we thank you guys for coming this afternoon. We move now to item 5, new business, and that is item B, the Northern Marianas College. And at this time, I give you the floor, IP Frankie. I know that you have a presentation to present to this August body, and you have the floor.
Thank you, Chairman Sablan. Good afternoon, Chairman Sablan and members of the House Ways and Means Committee. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you about NMC's budget request. I also want to recognize the members of the NMC Board of Regents joining us today, Chairman Jesse Tadella and Regent Michelle Sablan, who are seated immediately right behind me. And I also want to recognize and acknowledge the most amazing team in the Pacific, and I consider it a privilege to work alongside each of them. The NMC team, proudly wearing NMC red, seated behind and alongside me here today. This afternoon, I know we will be walking through specific budget numbers and figures, but before we do, I want to talk about something numbers alone cannot capture, which is impact. Because that is what we are truly asking you to invest in, not just dollars, but the power to keep changing lives while at the same time growing our economic base across the CNMI. Our presentation will be focused on just that, the impact that the college is having across the Commonwealth. This includes impact to our students, to their livelihoods, to the economy, and to our Commonwealth's long-term viability. Many of you were with us at NMC's recent commencement, where we celebrated more than 200 graduates, 200 stories of perseverance, sacrifice, and possibility. Today, they are stepping into our workforce, continuing on to earn their bachelor's and master's degrees, and already giving back to the very community that helped raise them. Every one of them is proof that a strong Northern Marianas College means for our what a strong Northern Marianas College means for our islands. Let me share just a few quick stories about some of the students who earned their degrees last month. Kaylee Audan Pinala is a first-generation student working countless hours while contributing to her family-owned business, MJ Catering, that you see, whose goods distributed to all of our mom-and-pop stores and is in food service operations. Mr. Juan Vicente Blanco is gaining valuable hands-on experience working in his family business, Sablon Top Line Agency, developing the skills and carrying the business forward as an administrative manager. Miss Lenerva Tudela, a non-traditional student, full-time mom who returned home to complete her degree. She works as a personnel specialist too at the Office of Personnel Management, supporting government employees and upholding regulatory compliance across agencies. Francisco Audan Mizutani is another example of a non-traditional student who works at CUC Power Division as a mechanical foreperson, and he is also an adjunct instructor at NM Tech. Francisco Castro II received his bachelor's in education and works as a teacher aide for Sinamay Public School System in the special ed program, and is now qualified to teach full-time and will be fulfilling needs in this area. Miss Leilani Cepeda received her degree in criminal justice prior to opening up Hydration Grounds. She served as a special projects coordinator handling white-collar crime cases at the Office of Attorney General. Today, she is on her way to becoming a U.S. Customs and Border Protection officer. Mr. Ryder Alvarez received a degree in criminal justice, now works as a logistics specialist with FEMA, supporting operations that bring in supplies for internal support for our islands, as well as external support for Tinian and Luta. I also want to recognize Alexandria De Jesus, Shania Dino, Bea Villafuerte, and Rachel Stevenson as examples of recent graduates who have just passed the NCLEX exam and is now licensed as registered nurses, now certified under the Sinamay Board of Nursing. These are just some of the examples of the impact that the college is making. Now, to share some of the other impacts that we are making in workforce development is our Acting Dean of Academic Programs and Services, Ms. Keilani Demapan.
Thank you, IP Frankie, Hafide, Tito, and good afternoon, Chairman Sablon and members of the committee. When we talk about the value of investing in NMC, enrollment is only part of the story. The bigger question is, what does that investment produce for the CNMI? What happens when our students leave our classrooms? Are they prepared to fill critical jobs, strengthen our businesses, and build a more economically resilient Commonwealth? That is where the impact really becomes visible. Let's take a look at our past spring graduates. NMC graduated 212 students. Those graduates represent more than degrees and certificates. They represent future nurses caring for our families, business professionals and entrepreneurs developing new industries, law enforcement officers keeping our communities safe, and public servants and community leaders moving us forward. So to answer the question I posed earlier, the return on investment is not simply measured by enrollment. It is measured by the people we prepare and the impact our graduates make right here at home. Let's take a look at healthcare. Healthcare is one of the clearest examples. The CNMI continues to face challenges recruiting and retaining healthcare professionals. That makes it even more important to build our own healthcare workforce pipeline. Under the leadership of Ms. Rosa Tudela Aldan, NMC's nursing program continues to provide students with the education, the hands-on training, and preparation they need to enter this critical field. And our students are showing that they are ready. Our nursing graduates achieved a 100% NCLEX NCLEX pass rate among recent graduates who have taken the exam in 2026. That means our students are not simply completing a program. Our students demonstrate that they are prepared to become licensed professionals and enter the healthcare workforce. So the goal is to build the capacity to train CNMI residents for the healthcare positions our community needs. Another example is from the School of Business. Under the leadership of Dr. Barbara Hunter, shows another direct return on investment. 95% of business administration graduates are working in the CNMI, and 90% of our bachelor's degree graduates in business are working here as well. Those numbers matter because the Commonwealth's investment in these students is staying right here. Our graduates are working, they're earning income, supporting families, contributing to the local economy, and helping businesses and government agencies operate. At the same time, NMC is strengthening the connection between education and employment by helping students earn industry-recognized credentials, including CompTIA certifications. The goal is not simply to help our students earn a degree. It is to prepare them to earn meaningful wages and build productive lives here in the CNMI. Another example is our criminal justice program, which reflects the same approach. NMC is looking at how workforce training can extend beyond our neighboring islands and how partnerships throughout can help prepare residents for careers in law enforcement, corrections, public safety, public administration, and related fields. Instead of always looking outside the CNMI for talent, we are purposefully filling the pipeline within critical, in-demand industries in our economy. And lastly, we have many more programs not mentioned, such as our education program that fills positions in our public and private school systems and address the mental health crisis, our natural resource management program to protect our environment and our resources, and our liberal arts programs, which includes social work, kinesiology, and pre-engineering. All programs that are preparing our students to meet the evolving needs of the CNMI. So we recognize that when a resident gains the education and credentials needed for a better paying career, that investment benefits not only the student but our families and the broader community. At the college, everyone from our faculty, our staff, and our leadership makes it a real priority to retain talent and income in the CNMI because we know our impact is meaningfully felt in the economy and on the kitchen table. So thank you, Sizus Masis and Giliso.
Thank you, Dean Keilani. I want to stress, Chairman and the members of the Ways and Means Committee, that the college does not offer only degree programs. We also offer short-term certificate programs that lead to quality credentials. To talk about that, we have Ms. Monique Sablon from NMC CTI to talk about these programs.
Good afternoon, everyone. As IP mentioned, NMC's education and training offerings also extend beyond traditional degrees and certificate and credit programs. We also offer short-term accelerated programs that connect people to the skills, credentials, and career opportunities they need. Because while some pathways take 2 to 4 years, others can take 2 to 4 months, and NMC is here to support both. Let me show you what that looks like through the Center of Training and Innovation. Recreational tourism carries our economy, so diversification must be a part of that conversation. NMC asked the simple question this year: how do we create new reasons for people to come to the Marianas? This year, we piloted the Marianas Education Tourism Program in collaboration with the Shizuoka Governmental Prefecture in Japan. We brought Japanese students here to learn, experience our culture, and connect with our shared history. And the economic impact is straightforward. The Education Tourism Program doesn't just need a classroom. It needs a hotel. It needs transportation. It needs meals. It needs activities, tours, and cultural experiences. These are opportunities for our local businesses and more. The pilot proved the concept. A year ago, this did not exist. Today, NMC has a new economic product we can scale to new cohorts, new partners, and new markets. As Acting Dean Keilani just shared, healthcare is already a major part of NMC's academic mission. NMC prepares students for healthcare careers through programs including nursing. Our workforce development work builds on that foundation by creating additional pathways into and through the healthcare workforce. Through our pre-health academy, recent high school graduates explored healthcare careers while earning college credit. We introduced the next generation to opportunities in nursing, medicine, dentistry, emergency care, laboratory sciences, public health, and more. But workforce development is also about strengthening the workforce we have today. Through our community health worker training program, developed in collaboration with CHCC, we're giving current healthcare workers opportunities to upskill, reskill, and advance. We're bringing new people into the field while helping people already in it move forward. And healthcare is just one example of what flexibilities make this possible. Because these programs are a part of NMC, we actively leverage our faculty, facilities, expertise, and partnerships that we already have. That's the strength of NMC. We can meet people where they are and help them get where the workforce needs them the most. And we're building for what's to come next. The workforce needs we have today may look very different in 5 years. So NMC also is building capacity for work-based learning. Simply put, that means giving people the opportunity to learn through real workplace experience and connecting what they learn to what employers actually need. We're building partnerships, bringing outside expertise into the Commonwealth, and developing the capacity to do more of this. Just this week, NMC was selected for a national work-based learning initiative. We were only one of 8 states and systems selected from a large applicant pool, and the only U.S. territory selected. The initiative includes 2 years of expert coaching, technical assistance, peer collaboration, along with $50,000 in funding. But the bigger story is what we're building with this. We're strengthening NMC's ability to connect education with the workplace and to do it better. And that's how we continue to expand NMC, what NMC can do for the Commonwealth. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Monique. And while at the college, we're also building workforce capacity to build economic resilience. The college is also hard at work at building entrepreneurial capacity and helping small businesses to grow or help more and more people to take the leap into opening their own business. Nadine De Leon Guerrero, who is the Network Director for the CNMI SBDC program, will share more about the program.
Thank you, IP Frankie, and good afternoon, everyone. The CNMI SBDC services a total of 1,396 registered clients, with 1,139 residing on Saipan, 158 on Tinian, and 99 on Rhoda. To date, your CNMI SBDC has assisted with jumpstarting 65 new businesses, infusing over $1 million into our local economy while creating 1,154 jobs in the CNMI through 1,775 hours of collective business advising and 93 training events where SBDC has leveraged subject matter experts to train over 1,800 attendees since becoming a network. Absent an Apex accelerator in the CNMI, your SBDC has stepped up its service delivery to meet an obvious gap in bridging our small businesses to economic opportunities, which was addressing the need to provide access to SAM.gov, the federal government's procurement portal. Obtaining a UEI is the first step towards entering the federal procurement space. Without one, businesses cannot become players in the federal contracting market, which includes access to Department of War contracts. To date, your SBDC has provided critical technical assistance to 267 clients through 15 training events. That's 109 businesses that have been able to obtain their UEIs and/or development of their capability statements, resulting in at least 7 known contracts between the federal government and our local businesses. Federal contracting is just a fraction of what we do at the SBDC. In the interest of time, I'll focus on the more exciting things happening at the SBDC, like the CNMI Innovation Incubator Program that's about to graduate its first cohort of 12 innovators who have devoted the last 12 months focusing on their businesses and availing of the resources and capital made available to our entrepreneurs by NMC. On this slide, you see a photo of some of our success stories that have emerged with an elevated brand thanks to their hard work and the help of our program. We have Bishu Marianas, who were able to attest and perfect packaging solutions. Saku Bloom, who hosted her first profit-making floral workshop, and Chance Boys, who has opened a new storefront thanks to the assistance of funding provided by the incubator. But don't take my word for it. Here to share in person how NMC has helped with his business is Chris Yang Zhu, owner of Crownway Green Energy, a growing energy solutions company who also has great potential to succeed in the federal contracting space. At a time when utility costs are at an all-time high, Chris presents alternative energy solutions to combat the rising costs of living expenses. Chris?
Good afternoon, honorable member of the legislature. My name is Chris Zhu, and I'm the Chief Operating Officer and the co-founder of Crownway Green Energy, a solar company here on Saipan. And our mission is very simple, and to give our community the tools to generate their own power. And after 2 typhoons this year, that mission has never mattered more. The last time I stood here before this body, I gave a short presentation on the solar aircon product we're carrying, and something remarkable happened. My customer base grew simply from the exposure of the session's YouTube videos. But the second and the bigger wave of the growth came when I joined the CNMI incubator program last year. The program connected the NMC name to my brand, and I think that association raised our visibility across the island, and more importantly, built trust. When customers see a local business backed by our own college, they know we are here to stay. The incubator gives us more than a name. We receive a marketing training from the NMC award-winning team. We receive a financial training from our industry veterans and the community events that remind us we are not building this alone. And it was productive, and honestly, it was very fun. When I joined, I didn't realize it's only a 1-year program. That year flew by so quickly. And while I don't want to leave, I've realized the program did exactly what it set out to do. It got us ready to hatch, to ready for big ventures. So today I'm here to express my gratitude to the incubator program, and also to ask you to keep investing in this program for the future entrepreneur who came after me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chris. Thank you, Chris. Now, you may have seen our next innovator through our social media platforms who have sold out product in the first hour of opening their doors. Also joining us today is Mr. Bill Torres, one of 5 principals of local sausage making company Marianas Chorizo.
Thanks, Nadine. Good afternoon, Chairman Sablan and the members of this committee. My name is Bill Torres. I am a co-owner of Marianas Chorizos, a locally owned craft sausage and specialty meat product company based in the CNMI. I am honored to provide testimony today in strong support of continued funding for NMC's Small Business Development Center and its Innovation Incubator Program. Our company was selected as part of the inaugural cohort of this incubator. When we entered the program, we had a vision of building a company that celebrates our local culture through high-quality, locally inspired sausages. Like many aspiring entrepreneurs, we had the passion and determination to succeed, but we also faced challenges that many startups encounter, like limited resources, limited access to specialty business expertise, and uncertainty about how to transform an idea into a viable enterprise. SBDC helped bridge that gap through mentorship, technical assistance, business planning support, training, and access to valuable resources. SBDC provided the guidance and structure necessary to move our business forward. The support we received gave us the confidence and tools to make informed business decisions and establish a strong foundation for long-term growth. Today, I am proud to share that Marianas Chorizos has successfully launched its products to the public and has experienced tremendous support from our community. Since our recent launch, we have sold out our products during each of our sales events, generated strong demand for our product, and built a growing customer base that continues to follow and support our journey. What began as an idea has evolved into a real business with potential to create economic opportunities, support local agriculture, and contribute to the CNMI and its growing entrepreneurial ecosystem. While our hard work and commitment played an important role in our success, there is no question that SBDC was instrumental in helping us reach this point. Their investment in our business helped accelerate our growth and avoid many costly mistakes that new businesses often face. Our story is not unique, nor should it be. There are countless aspiring entrepreneurs throughout the CNMI with innovative ideas and valuable skills. Many simply need access to the same guidance and support that SBDC provides. Continued funding for SBDC means more opportunities for local residents to launch businesses, create jobs, generate tax revenue, strengthen local work industries, and of course, diversify our economy. Programs like the Innovation Incubator are especially important because they do more than teach business concepts. They provide entrepreneurs with the practical tools and support network necessary to turn ideas into successful businesses. In a small island economy, these services are invaluable. On behalf of my business partners and our families, I would like to express our sincere appreciation to NMC, the SBDC team, and all of those who have supported this program. We respectfully encourage the legislature to continue investing in SBDC so that more entrepreneurs can transform their ideas into thriving businesses, just as we have been fortunate to do. The success of Marianas Chorizos is a testament to what can happen when local entrepreneurs are given the right support. With continued funding, SBDC can help many more businesses achieve similar success and contribute to a stronger economic future of the CNMI. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you so much. The experiences you heard are just 2 of 12 innovators who were enrolled in the year-long program who will be graduating tomorrow. NMC, through federal grant funds, dispersed $128,000 in capital and resource assistance. These innovators, through the incubator, have been able to take that investment and turn it into $516,000 in sales. That's over $500,000, 4 times the return of investment into our economy to support jobs and support public services. Thank you.
Thank you, Nadine. And I wish we had more time because we have a lot more success stories coming out of our SBDC and the Innovation Incubator program. Again, we invite all of you to the graduation ceremony tomorrow in the afternoon. As we begin to wrap up our presentation, we wanted to share very, very important developments and exciting announcements from our college's research and extension arm. To lead that discussion, Dean Patty Coleman from NMC Crees will share some of the news coming out of her office.
Thank you, IP. Well, committee members, raise your hand if you like eating locally grown, raised, or harvested food.
Yes.
Well, thank you very much. Glad to see how our work at Crees touches everyone's lives. Well, I'd like to begin by talking about some of the work we're doing. About 30-40% of our portfolio I'll be sharing with you today around building local capacity. Over the last year or so, we've created 2 programs, Mama Food Forest and Agro Academy. And this is to address the need to upskill our current farmers, as well as create a new generation of farmers, as our average farmer's age is 67 years old. So over the past year, we've trained 108 local farmers, and this includes current and beginning farmers through Agro Academy, a 10-week program that provides certification and teaches people real skills to farm regeneratively. With that as well, we've also had 58 regenerative food forest plots established in the CNMI. So this includes new plots and current farmers who are now diversifying their plots and transitioning to regenerative agriculture. And among the CAFPA, the Cagman Farmers Association, we have 25 or more farmers currently transitioning to regenerative ag. And now I'm going to talk a little bit about optimizing our food system to support local food production and local food producers. So I want to add that part of the reason and our ability to provide this local capacity building for farmers and garner interest is because we've been working with the Division of Ag and NRCS over the last couple of years to change the regulations for the Cagman farm plots. So previously, you could only really do monoculture farming. And now, as a result of the legal adoption of those regulations, the farmers now have more options to do regenerative agriculture, which helps save costs, support ecosystems, and increase production. So I want to go ahead and share one of our major projects that we've had over the last year. So when we think about the Child Nutrition Program, it feeds over 8,000 of our students from early Head Start, which is 3 months old, all the way up to senior high students. And in March, for the very first time, in a very long time, maybe even the first ever, we had the integration of our locally grown starches into the menu. And I want to say, I'm showing the taste testing that happened in the schools with our actual students, but there was a lot of work that actually went into developing the recipes, working with the caterers, working with the producers, and working with the Garapan market to make this happen. So prior to this, you can think that all of the starches that are served 2 times a day, 10 months out of the year to all of our students are imported starches. So now we have integrated for the very first time, and we will continue to grow and scale it, locally produced starches. And this is of particular importance because locally produced starches have more climate resilience than some of the other crops that are grown in the CNMI. And it made us very happy. You see a photo here in the next slide of the dietitian from the Child Nutrition Program. She's also on our local advisory council at CREES, Erin Camacho. And these are the results of having the students try these recipes with the local starches. 80% of the students indicated that they love the local starch menu option. Very motivating for our local producers to hear this, and the PSS private sector caterers who are also our partners in this project. And 19% said they like it. So is there hope for our local starches in the school menu? Based on what the students say, there definitely is. Okay, we can go to the next slide, please. And here we have our sweet potato that we've developed with our partners a recipe for. And one of the barriers that was mentioned by the private caterers that make the food for the public school system is, they have challenges with labor, right? With employees, retaining employees, touchback, et cetera. So what we were actually able to do was work with our partners to buy a multi-crop peeler. And so we're able to work with our partners, the farmers, the public market, to actually add value to this and address a concern, a barrier that the caterers for PSFs have said have prevented them in the past from wanting to serve local starches in the menu. And the public market is also making some new products, sweet potato fries, as a result of having this new peeler. And I'd like to thank our food science program at CREES, Dr. Sarkar and team for enabling a lot of this work, and of course our agroforestry team. building healthy communities and leaders. So there's very interesting lately. We've seen some questions asked in different forums about healthcare savings, healthcare costs, healthcare prevention, and NMC CREES is in the community actively providing free health, blood pressure and blood glucose screenings. So we've had 992 health screenings and 501 registered unique participants. And interestingly, half of the people who have had, who've been told that they have high blood pressure and high blood glucose did not know that they had high blood pressure or high blood glucose. So a very conservative estimate of the prevention approach and the cost savings that are realized from us being out in the community offering these free screenings is anywhere from $200,000 to over $1 million based on this 501 registered participants. I'd also, you guys have all probably seen, maybe your kids or grandkids are involved in 4-H Marianas under the Family Community Youth Development Program under the leadership of Tena Bellew Camacho. And for the last 3 years, our CNMI youth have had prominent positions in the national 4-H and have taken on leadership roles. And I think it really says something when we see national leaders at USDA using our youth in their photos at national forums and presenting. So great job to all of our volunteers. And speaking of volunteers, in 2025, we've realized 18,828 volunteer hours. This is probably the highest in the nation per capita, and this is 25% growth from the previous year. So I think 4-H Marianas, FCYD are doing something right that so many kids are volunteering their time for our CNMI.
All right.
Sorry, next slide, please.
Oh.
Sorry, we're not done.
One more, last one.
Two more. So we have Mr. Jerry Barcinas, our acting aquaculture program leader here today, and very exciting week for us. We retrieved our device that has helped tell us where to put this net pen. We just did the retrieval this week. And we've also contracted John Gorley, and that's significant because nowhere in our region has anyone established a permitting process in order to be able to put the net pens in our region. So for this particular project, it's very consequential because we will be the first ones testing the net pens in a tropical, subtropical environment. So you can think about all of the fish farming and adding this new sector of growth to our economy. Next slide, please. We have our soil scientist, our ag program leader, Dr. Aris, in the audience with us today. And since he started, and in the last year, we've been able to conduct over 200 soil samples. This is very labor-intensive, hard work. So this has helped our farmers really understand the soil profile, the composition of their soil, so that we can help advise them on what adjustments need to be made. It's also, we can go to the next slide. It's also significant because it helps the CNMI be in a better position to apply for federal funding and other international funding because we have this data set. And so currently we're in beta testing, and we will have a interactive soil database up on the NMC CREES website in the next 6 to 9 months. Next slide. I'm almost done, IP. Our food science program, I'm so proud of Team CREES and really thankful just for the college in general for processing over 350 student paid internship stipends. And we weren't going to offer this, but we pivoted to have it because we saw the need in the community right after Sinlaku. Last year I said we had 1 patent pending. We have 2 patents pending currently. And we are supporting through the Next Gen Scholarship over 55 CNMI students who are studying in the CNMI and abroad to get degrees, undergrad, master's, doctoral degrees in high need areas. And about 60% of these students are first generation first-generation college attendees. So when we think about impact, we think about how we're changing the life trajectories of these families, particularly the 60% of students from these families that we're supporting, that are being supported for the first time to go to college. We remain at your service. We need your help to continue to promote local agriculture, local production, and all the good things that come out of NMC Crees. With that, I'll turn it back over to you, IP.
All right, thank you, Dean Patty. As you can see, there are so many different things and different initiatives and different impacts that all of the folks up here at the table and behind me are leading. If we had more time, I promise you we would have more information to share, but we know that time is limited. So we'll be wrapping up. But now, again, talking about impact. Impact isn't only where our college graduates go. It's also about where we are building, and we are building right here at home. Right now, Northern Marianas College is undertaking the most ambitious capital construction program in its entire history. 5 new buildings that will modernize our campus, open new opportunities for the people of the Commonwealth, and inject millions of dollars directly into the CNMI's tax base. I'm going to say that again, millions of dollars into the CNMI's tax base. Each of these projects represents more than steel and concrete. It means jobs for local contractors and tradespeople today, and it means expanded pathways for our students tomorrow. Let me walk you through some of the buildings. The first building is our Proa Union building. As you know, we had a ribbon cutting ceremony a few months ago for the Proa Union building, and then we were preparing to move in, and then Super Typhoon Sinlaku came. Fortunately, the building remains structurally sound. You can drive by and see that the building is still intact. Unfortunately, however, because of the unprecedented rain and wind that Sinlaku brought, there was some damage to the HVAC unit and some other units. As a result, we are working with the contractor to work through some of those issues. However, the furniture, IT equipment, and other pieces are on its way, they are already ongoing. Because of the typhoon, we are also considering additional hazard mitigation activities to prevent future damages from those types of storms. As predicted, there will be more typhoons, more frequent and more powerful typhoons coming our way. Our next building is the Workforce Development and Training Center, which is funded by EDA. And our next building is the Center for Research, Extension, and Development, which will house all the programs that Dean Patty is talking about. And those these 2 buildings are at different stages of procurement. Our final 2 buildings, which we've recently had a lot of excitement around, are the two-story classroom buildings that will house a total of about 32 classroom buildings and 4 labs. Just a few weeks ago, we had the bid opening, and this is through a partnership with NMHC through CDBG-DR funds. And the bid evaluation for responsibility and responsiveness is ongoing right now, and we hope to go to an NTP so the contract can be awarded in the next several months. The bid evaluation is ongoing. One of the other things we wanted to share is that I came to you last year to share that we are also trying to revitalize the Dandan corridor to include sidewalks and other pedestrian construction and other amenities that will help this be more walkable and bikeable neighborhood. And we are happy to report that we are now listed in the CNMI Territorial Transportation Plan, which allows us to apply for grants or qualify for grants that we weren't able to be qualified before. As you know, while we're working on permanent buildings, we're also unfortunately working on temporary buildings, but we are excited to be partnering with FEMA and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to be building 18 modular classrooms which will be completed by the end of this month and through the first and second week of September. This is on the screen. Are renderings of those 18 modular classrooms, which will allow the Northern Marianas College to begin its fall semester and welcome about 1,000 students back to campus. And that's a summary of just some of the CIP projects going on at the Northern Marianas College. Of course, there are many more, but because time is limited, our final presenter this afternoon is from our Chief Financial Officer, Mr. Dave Attal, who will talk about our finances, how we take care of them, and our budget request.
Thank you, President Liptico. Can you guys hear me? Good afternoon. Wake up a little bit. Coach, you guys have known us for a while. We've all been together. We've all grown. We've all been challenging. And I want to recognize the legislature and the government for always investing in the college. Investing in us has always kept our costs low and our opportunities big, right? We all want to grow together. We're all trying to strive to succeed as a whole family, a whole CNMI, a whole community. This is not easy, it's not hard also, right? It's not easy and it's not hard also. I'll say that again, right? We just have to dedicate our time and be stewards the way we are expected to be. Every dollar you've given us for the last 19 years, our team built a culture of being accountable, being transparent. You can trust us, I hope. We are showing you the results. We talk about impact, how we've grown, everything that you've given us, everything the federal government has given us, everything nonprofit organizations have given us. We've turned that back around for not NMC, for the CNMI and our students and our stakeholders around us. It's not easy and it's not hard, right? And as a team, we want to show this that an external body is the one telling us we're doing this. I'm not just talking because I'm me, right? That's not me to trust. You trust the external bodies that evaluate us and tell us about what we're doing. Doing that allows us to access all these grants. We're low-risk oddities, right? We are able to access all these grants with little to limited disturbances or challenges. Some challenges you can see are going on now. We're not in that same situation. We're actually more fortunate that we are able to do that. Holding financial stability is an accreditation standard. 19 straight years really helps us do that, right? And any other institution that wants to practice that, they would need at least 3 years at a time, continuously, but we have 19. And that's the investment that you guys have been doing with us, right? Earlier, our team discussed the opportunity of why these things happen for accreditation. Once you get accredited, you generate income for the students to live here, right? And that's not easy to do because students are all in the same situation. They are breadwinners for their families. They're all trying to help improve lives around us. If you build it, they will come. That saying that they've always said before. When you invest in us, we will deliver. Right, we've been delivering. Our team has been showing that, and we want to continue to do that for our community. I'm tired of talking about this right now. So next slide, please. The bottom line is that we're going to end up in the situation where our team has been talking about impact of how we spend our money, how we are stewards of it, and what it costs to do that, right? I already said earlier, the reason why a lot of students can stay here is that you can stay with your parents, you can stay home with your friends, you live in our community, you contribute to our community, but it really costs very much less to live here and go to school at NMC. Compared to other places, without the government support that you guys are giving us, a student will be paying $25,000 a semester. I see it every day when I pay for other bills in the situation, right? That's an impact that you guys are helping our community strive to get. So these dollars are, as we go through, we're asking for we're pumping in over $100 million in revenue, $100 million in opportunities. Times 5 is what our counterparts are saying, $500 million altogether, but we're only asking for $18 million to do so. And that $18 million is a part of building those buildings that you're talking about, a part of matching the opportunities that CREES and SBDC have been sharing and our participants. And very importantly, a part of keeping our community here and us growing together. So we appreciate that. Every dollar you spend, I want to make sure you guys understand that we thank you and appreciate that. And we are also looking forward in your vision to make sure your community is taken care of. So on Tinian, Rhoda, and Saipan, and the Northern Islands. Thank you so much.
Thank you, CFO. Chairman and members of the Ways and Means Committee, that concludes our presentation this afternoon. We know that we went 46 minutes. We can go for 2 more hours if you let us, but we also know you want to ask us questions. But I want to leave the members of the Ways and Means Committee with this thought. We have navigated in just the last decade alone 4 super typhoons, a pandemic, several financial disasters, several other calamities that have come our way. And we have maintained the consistent number that we come to you. We haven't asked for more, because what we have been able to do when we need money to build brand new buildings, when our campus was destroyed, when we lost 80% of our campus, and we lost almost everything, we said, let's go outside because the CNMI government has other priorities or other needs, and we aren't able, we don't want to put more burden on the local government. So we went outside, we sought grants, we sought many, many grants. We were rejected for many, many of those grants. But at some point, several points maybe, some people, some agencies, some organizations, and some philanthropic agencies said yes to us. And as a result, we continue to deliver the impact. Going back to the impact, we continue to deliver the impact that we share with you today. Again, we can go on and on sharing more and more and bring more students to share how much of an impact the college has made on their lives. And I want to leave that thought with you as we discuss the numbers now to help us continue making that impact for our students, for the Northern Marianas College, and for our Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands. Thank you.
Thank you, and Jesus Mossy, IP, Frankie, and your team for a very fruitful presentation and sharing of the many successes of NMC, our one and only Northern Marianas College. Before we enter into questions and answers and discuss this fiscal year 2027 budget, let me just introduce some of the members that just stepped in. We have our chairman of the Standing Committee on Education, Representative Roma Benavente, is here with us. To his left, we also have Representative Joe Flores, who is a member also of the Committee of Ways and Means. So let me start by, as we all know, the governor's proposal to the legislature gives 2 scenarios for the NMC's budget proposal. Scenario 1 proposes to give NMC a little bit over $6 million, and scenario 2 would be somewhere in the tune of $5+ million. So let me begin by on your budget request, IP Frankie, on page 31, labeled finances. The pie chart paints a good picture on your revenues and expenses respectively. With regards to your revenues, we noticed that federal grants cover a large portion of your total revenues. How much federal grant awards is NMC expecting to receive for this fiscal year 2027?
Thank you, Chairman, and I'll ask our CFO to assist me in case I miss out any of the details. For fiscal year 2027, again, some of the grants that we have applied for and have received are going to be spread over a multi-year period. In 2027, fiscal year 2027, we expect to expend about between 45 to $47 million of those funds. Those are all federal funds.
27, did you say?
For fiscal year 27, about 45 to 47 million.
45 to 47. Thank you for that response. Furthermore, the second largest revenue portion is the tuition and fees. How much of this respective revenue has NMC received for academic school year of 2025 and 2026, the current budget?
Sure. In 25-26, it hovers between 4.5 to $4.6 million in tuition and fees.
Thank you for that response. Referencing the same pie chart, how do you define other revenues? What falls under that category under your budget submission?
Sure. The other revenues that are not tuition and fees or appropriations includes some of the revenues that we receive when we charge different agencies or corporations. For example, when Director Monique was speaking about some of the programs, training programs that she administers, those she was able to generate some of the program revenue and then uses that to be able to hold other training activities. We also have some revenue from our bookstore. We have some revenue from other special projects. Sometimes we do partner with, like one big project in the last 2 years was the broadband project that we entered into and collaborated with the broadband office to be able to train numerous residents on Saipan, Rhoda, and Tinian, and we're able to collect some revenue from that. Those are just some examples of the revenue, Chairman, and we can give you a detailed report on that specific, what items are included in that.
That would be very helpful if we can let that be an official request by this August body.
Chair, may I just clarify one more?
Yeah,
issue?
please proceed.
So this, what you're showing right here also reflects the pass-through of funds that the President was talking about from GBPC. We don't really always get this much in revenues. We generate revenues as a chance to make opportunities come, but in particular for GBPC, where they were trained, 300 some people were trained, we gave them stipends as a pass-through process to get that going and generate funds in the community. So that's really what that amount really looks like in this particular picture.
So it's a
And
pass-through as well. Okay.
This is a pass-through in this particular area.
Thank you. Thank you for that response. On the same page within expenses pie chart, we notice a huge chunk of the chart covers services. What types of services does PSA pay for on that services?
Thank you, Chairman. I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, CFO, a lot of the services that we have expenses for are construction related, and this includes construction contracts for A&E firms, construction management, FF&E, other types of services that we need consultancy for. As you know, we have a lot of skills at Northern Marianas College, but for many of those services, we do need to contract for. And I believe the majority of these services that we expended for this particular fiscal year in the citizen-centric report that we reported last year was for services related to the construction of our buildings.
And just to, President, just to add also, just the services also includes the grant programs from CREAS, SBDC, CTI, that make this amount go this figure. So those are the others that we can't really touch. It's just a direct impact to the community.
Okay, so we can fairly say even professional services are acquired through this part of the chart.
Yes, that includes professional services, including legal services.
Okay, thank you for that response. On the same chart, what is covered in miscellaneous purposes portion of it, the pie chart?
For this particular fiscal year and the citizen-centric report, A lot of the miscellaneous service includes accreditation fees, instructional materials, instructional supplies, maintenance, telecommunication, and other miscellaneous fees. Again, we can include a detailed report, Mr. Chairman, as part of the request to itemize specifically what comprised that, and for that particular year, which was last year.
That would be helpful again for this August body, and let that be an official request.
May I also add, Chairman? Just
Yes,
to
sure,
clarify,
please.
It's just also the way the CCR is structured, and it only asks for these particular areas, so miscellaneous is basically all others in what you guys see in the other platforms. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Within your budget submission, we noticed that in the previous fiscal year, NMC received funds that were separate and not part of the general fund, such as the CW fees, the CIG fees. Is NMC expected to receive funds from these same sources? And if so, how much are you guys expecting for fiscal year 2027?
Sure. Let me talk about the CW fees in particular, and it's not a substantial amount, Chairman. We just received, as a matter of fact, on August 14, this was, August 21, so about a week ago from the Department of Labor. So Northern Marianas College receives 20% of the CW fees collected by the Department of Labor. So the other 80% are given to other educational institutions, including NMTech and PSS and perhaps other organizations. Again, so we receive a very small amount. This is the latest, for the third quarter, for 2026, the total amount collected by the CNMI, and this is, I'm reading directly from the award letter from the Department of Labor, the CNMI Department of Labor, the total amount collected for the third quarter was $96,000, and NMC gets 20% of that, which equals to about $19,000 for the quarter. So do we receive funds? Yes. Are they substantial? No.
Thank you for that response. The committee is aware of the recent announcement of NMC's 19th consecutive year of receiving another clean audit, and for that, the committee genuinely congrats you all for such achievement. With regards to the budget, we notice also that NMC pays 1% OPA fees. So our question would be, does OPA assist in your audits, or you're getting audits elsewhere aside from the assistance of OPA?
President, yes. Chairman, yes, OPA was involved in the FY 2025 process. They were there in the opening of the audit process to ensure that our third-party vendor was able to start on time. They were in the middle to follow up with us, and then they were there in the end to see the final closure of it. Yeah, that's their role that they play. And then after the audits are submitted, we submit it to them, and they monitor whatever sections that we have.
And then after you do acquire from other audit firms to conduct audits for NMC?
Yes, we are, for accreditation standards and other GASB standards, we are getting third-party vendors to ensure that we're not just saying it internally, it's an external body that's
How much does NMC expense on acquiring from a private audit firm?
We usually do RFP, so what we've been able to negotiate for us was around $30,000 for this project.
Oh, 30 grand on this project. Okay, thank you for that response. With regards to the budget submission for NMC Board of Regents, we noticed that they are requesting for a budget of 130 grand for operation. We also noticed that you did not request for NOPs under the board, so just wondering who assists the board with conducting in operations. Is that NMC staff that assist the board, or the board has its separate staff for the Board of Regents?
We have a staff member who is part of our NMC appropriation, but is assigned to assist with the Board of Regents. And some of the expenses, of course, that's the budget request. We never get the full request. It's usually around 30 to 40,000, and some of that is used to pay for travel expenses from Rhoda and Saipan for our members from those islands. I'm sorry, Rhoda and Tinian to come to Saipan to attend board meetings. Some of them are professional development activities and other related activities. This past year, 2 years ago, the Board of Regents also formed the Micronesian Board of Regents Association. So it's the first time that they organize among themselves, meaning all the boards of all the colleges across the region, to form an association. And the first meeting was held here in Saipan, and that will be continuing.
Nice. That's very nice to hear. My next question, IP Frankie, would be with the budget scenario submitted by the governor. NMCL was given a proposed budget of 6.5 for scenario 1 and 5.8 for scenario 2. With these funds, with both funds or scenario be enough to sustain operation for the full academic year? Or would there be a need to lessen instructional days and to make austerity cuts? So perhaps my question would be, what would be that hard number, given that we already have two separate numbers for two different scenarios, but what would be a really hard number that NMC would continue to provide the necessary services for our people and our students?
Thank you, Chairman. That's a really good question. I want to back up and say what we don't want to do is slow down or halt the momentum that many of the leaders up here of the college have been talking about, whether it's building small businesses, building better livelihoods through the programs that we receive, or building better lives through NMC's degree programs. Do we want to cut back programs? Absolutely not. And I am familiar with the two scenarios. I hope that we can find a way to see what is the pathway we can get to make sure that we reduce expenses in some other ways, which we already have done. But what we really need your assistance on is at least at the very minimum to fund the payroll for the Northern Marianas College, just the local funded employees. Again, we find NMC is an $18 million operation, and the scenarios raised in the governor's budget, the two scenarios, is not sufficient to be able to allow us to do that. There is a historic buildup at Asterlahi that's going on as we speak, whether it's 5 permanent buildings or 18 modular classrooms or all the other programs and services that are happening as we speak. And what we don't want to do is slow those things down, because what they do is bring additional millions and millions of dollars back into the CNMI. So if we cut hours, if we cut programs, if we cut other things at the college, that means less money that will come into the economy that will circulate for the rest of the CNMI.
Thank you for that response, and I'm glad that you mentioned that we need to keep the momentum. I know that you guys are working hard with the classroom build-ups, and I believe these grants are about to end. Is it ending this year or next year?
All the grants that I have mentioned will be ending some are ending at the end of this year, some are ending at the end of next year, but most of them will be ending by mid-2028.
Okay.
So it's either we do it or we lose all these funding. So we implore upon you, because these are time-sensitive projects, it's either we do it or we end up with funds that we have to return to the federal government.
Yes. Thank you for that response. And I know that NMC is in need of additional funds, but is there any way, other than the grants that are being awarded to NMC, are there any other that can be tapped within federal grants to assist in funds? Are you guys perhaps like exploring on potential grants out there, if any, for that matter?
Thank you. I'll go ahead and ask some of our team members to respond, but I'm going to also respond. We don't have right now at this very moment, as you can see, we have a grants director position, but we don't have a grants director that's been vacant for a whole year because, we can't afford it. But what we have done is empower everyone at the college to write grants. So everyone at this table in front of, or at this panel in front of you has written a grant, is writing a grant, and has successfully obtained a grant. So what we have done is turn our team into revenue generating team members. So they are bringing in funds. Monique just mentioned that her team brought in $50,000 to be able to do some things. Now those little, I call them mini grants, they all add up. And however, they are limited, right? So all federal grants that we receive have a very specific purpose. They don't necessarily give us a wide latitude to be able to pay for general operational expenses at Northern Marianas College. And very few of those grants say you can pay for payroll at NMC. And that's really our core ask for this afternoon is please, while we bring in all these tens of millions of dollars of grants, whether it's for construction, whether it's for programs, whether it's for research, whether it's for other projects, we aren't able to find grants that pay for operational payroll. So we ask the Ways and Means Committee to please advocate to the full House and to the Senate and to the full legislature for the funding.
Thank you, IP Frankie, and I'm really glad that your members of your panel are also grant writers, and that really helps strengthen the NMC family in trying to absent a grant director that could focus solely on just going out there and searching for other opportunities within federal assistance. My next question would be: we understand that in your submission. Your budget, a budget for NMC CREASE and NMC SBDC was submitted for local matching requirement purposes, right? The governor did not include such budget into that submission due to NMC's ability for waivers in the past few years from such requirement. What is the likelihood that NMC will be securing those waivers again this fiscal year?
Very good question, Chairman. So again, for SBDC, for CREASE, and for other grants that we apply for, there is a local match that is required. In the past couple years, we have submitted waiver requests, and they have been successfully granted because of unique situations, whether it's natural disasters or other types of very compelling reasons to waive it. Your question, Chairman, is what is the likelihood that they will be waived again? We don't know. So, for example, if SBDC's match is not waived for us, we have to pay that, and that will have to come from CNMI funds. If we have to pay the match for CREASE, that's over $1 million or over $2 million that we have to use local funds for. So yes, we will continue to ask for those waivers, and we make a compelling case, but I can never say it's going to be likely that we get the waivers, or they are guaranteed, or it's not likely. What we do is just every year when we come together to write that letter, we make a very compelling case, but it's never guaranteed. So I'm not able to give you the likelihood. I just want to assure you that we do our best to get these waivers. Whether we get them or not, we don't find out. We cross our fingers, we light our candles, and we hold hands and pray and hope that the waivers are granted, so we don't have to pay $2 to $3 million for those matches.
Okay, thank you for the response. We're going to be praying for you that you get that waiver as well. Thank you, IP. Frankie, my next question would be with regards to the typhoon recovery. I know that your presentation, you mentioned that our newly student building sustained some damages. So my question would be, was there, if any, local funds was spent for these damages, and if so, are we applying for some reimbursement through FEMA for those local funds that are used for these damages?
Yeah, thank you, Chairman, for that question. Yes, the answer is a very big yes. We do spend local funds to be able to quickly recover and make sure that we have a campus that's ready and safe for our students. And of course, the FEMA process for reimbursement is several months to multiple years, maybe a decade. The PAO team has been working with us to make sure we accelerate those refunds, but we're still working with refunds from Super Typhoon U2. So just to give you an idea. So what does that mean? That means that NMC is deploying its own cash to be able to move projects along. I don't have, I'll ask our CFO to chime in on the exact amount for Super. I'm assuming you're asking about Super Typhoon Senlaku.
Maybe, and also, yes, I am, and also U2, right? That maybe perhaps you guys have spent local funds in U2, and we're still expecting a reimbursement, right, from FEMA. So if we can have that kind of ballpark figure of how much in totality with all these previous typhoons are we expecting in reimbursement. And I know that I intend as a chair to have an audience with the GAR very, very soon, and that's part of our goal is to kind of gauge with the GAR, Mr. Patrick Guerrero, on these reimbursements. I know that you have mentioned that NMC have been waiting for years. Other agencies have been waiting for years too, and we gotta put some clarity and kind of a gauge on when we can be expecting such reimbursement. So just a ballpark figure on how much is NMC expecting with all these previous typhoons.
Thank you, Chair, President. Just to go with Senlaku's of Chris and Bobby, we're close to 400,000 right here off the bat for reimbursements. We're hoping to be approved for reimbursement. In regards to U2, President, what can clarify?
For Super Typhoon U2, we have received some of the reimbursements because they were applied to the student center. However, there are still some pending ones that we will be seeking reimbursements for the 2 classroom buildings. So again, we are working actively, Chairman, with the PAO, the Public Assistance Office, and also with Region 9 from FEMA. They've been helpful, and I don't want to throw them under the bus because they have been tracking our progress, and they have been tracking the need for their assistance, because that's the only way that we're making these projects move forward. So I do want to thank the staff at PAO for for helping us with moving these projects along.
Thank you, IP Frankie. And for now, the chair will now yield to members of the Ways and Means to ask their own questions, and starting with Representative Ralph Yumo, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. And just going back to your previous questions, maybe Frankie can expound on how I guess NMC survived FY 2025 at 3.9 versus this fiscal year at 5.9, and then possibly an increase of about I guess close to 600,000. How did NMC survive FY 25 at 3.9 from the central government?
Sure. In addition to the 3.9, Congressman, I believe the Northern Marianas College, correct me if I'm wrong, CFO, we did receive an additional allocation from the governor's office to make up some of that. I don't have the amount off the top of my mind, but it brought us closer to over $5 million. Now, as I mentioned, the payroll expenses at Northern Marianas College is about $7.5 million. How do we make it up? What we do, as we've done before, is we take funds from the tuition and fees budget and help supplement the appropriations that we receive to make up and make sure that we pay payroll. What does that mean? It means that we take money from tuition and fees, which should be funding other operational expenses like building our programs, making our programs grow, like nursing, for example, business, buying supplies, buying equipment, purchasing other types of things, programmatic equipment to be able to make them grow. We have not been able to do that as much as we want to because we've been using those funds to supplement personnel. And that's how we've been making it work, Congressman Yumo.
Thank you. So if we go back to FY 2024, I guess your expenditure was at 3 million. So how did NMC survive on fiscal year 2024 with a little over 3 million?
So what you're seeing there, Congressman, is the expenditures inclusive of federal. So a lot of those things were filed.
No, this is just for the local, the cinema to NMC, not including. So if we were not to give you the full amount, let's say 3.9, what does that look like for NMC? That's what I'm trying to get at. And will NMC function the way it is now with graduating over 200 every year?
And yeah, the challenge that we still face is that at the 3.9, we had supplemental income from the governor's office at that time. We don't have that anymore. The challenge will be big and huge. We won't be able to accomplish everything we mentioned earlier. President kind of explained that earlier, but I can provide you more information if you like, just to
Okay.
clarify your.
So with regards to the restricted expendable, what is that limited to at 12 million at last fiscal year? What is that restricted account, the expendable expense limited to? What is that for? What is it being used for aside from, I guess, I'm assuming this is like FAFSA and all that other.
Yes, you're correct. We always have to do a reimbursement for federal grants, so we have to have enough funds there to track that. And FAFSA is a huge amount, so close to half of that, as well as the grants for the construction, crews, all the other entities that we need to pay for and show that we are able to do so.
Yeah, and also, if I may add to that, Congressman Yumo, for FAFSA in particular, we've been averaging about $4 to $5 million. That we are a pass-through for that. So the federal government, through the Federal Student Aid Agency, provides us the money, but all of that is dispersed to students. And I just want to make a point for that also. Many of our students qualify for the full Pell amount, which is about $7,000 some per year. NMC's tuition is about $3,000 per year, right? So many of those students then take the remaining and put that back into the economy, whether they're buying computer equipment, educational supplies, gas for their cars, or a down payment on their cars. So that money then is circulated into the economy. The college does not keep any of that Pell money, so we are mostly a pass-through for those funds.
Okay. Well, I guess what I'm trying to get at, because of the scarcity of the funds right now, is how can we leverage that restricted account to make it, double it, I guess. That's what I'm trying to get at, and see we can leverage through any financing if possible to try to get NMC as a whole, but also not, use everything, I guess. So we're trying to see how can we leverage that amount, because I know it's restricted, but it's restricted only for a certain, maybe it's for the building or for FAFSA or whatever is generated by the whatever the program you're, like CREASE or whatever is. So that my question would be is that possible to leverage that and double that amount, I guess?
We've explored different options, so we haven't gotten that far yet. But there are options that we're looking at just in case, in the event that we need to look at the ability to do so, and whether we're restricted enough to do so through the grants and the FAFSA process.
Yeah, and maybe you've seen our other hearings where we're trying to find a little, I believe, $1 million for PSS so that they can go to 72 hours rather than the 60. So that's where our predicament is at right now, and we're trying to see what kind of help NMC can, because your funds are, on the income statement, it looks pretty good. So I'm just trying to see what kind of leverage we can use so that we can help the public school system to get to 72 hours. So that's our predicament right here. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Yumo. Any other of the members have questions? Before, can I ask IP Frankie, is that I know that most of your the grants that you get, scholarship grants that you get, are mostly Pell grants, right? You get some from SHEFA as well, and the Sinamay scholarship. How much are you getting? I know your NMC is competing with our students who are also abroad, getting some education. So I'm trying to gauge like how much are we getting, NMC is getting from NMI scholarship and SHEFA on a good year or a school year. Do you have that figure?
Chairman, those are directly directed towards the students, not necessarily to the NMC. So
Okay, well,
they're able to get whatever they're awarded, but we don't have direct access to what the amounts are.
Yeah.
so they don't necessarily use those for your bookstores or what?
It's their choice. However, not everybody gets FAFSA. We still have about 40% of the students that don't get that, and they still have to pay out of pocket. And SHIFA and Cinema Scholarship helps with that locally. We do help them prioritize their choice to pay for tuition and fees, but again, they have other priorities in their lives also that they want to consider.
Okay, but does NMC assist them for that matter to get SHEFA awards or NMI scholarship awards? You guys just leave them to do it on their own, or do you assist them to get that, although it doesn't go directly to NMC, but do we assist these students so that we can, try to get more funds that can be expended within the campus?
Yes, absolutely, Chairman. I want to say that with the SHEFA program, one of their guidelines for the students is the first year to be at Northern Marianas College, unless it's a program or a field of study that's not available at NMC. But also we have activities at the college where we help them fill up applications, whether it's for the FAFSA, whether it's for the SHEFA or the CNMI scholarship. Also, we allow and we encourage and we collaborate with the CNMI scholarship and the SHEFA teams to be able to do outreach at the college, or when we do info sessions, we also invite them to make sure that they are part of our outreach activities to students. And we also have where we go into the high schools themselves and do what we call the Start Smart seminars. And there are times when representatives from those offices are present. So we do collaborate with them to make sure that students from our high schools maximize the funding availability on our islands. We do, at the college level, try to make sure that students apply for FAFSA. And in fact, it's a requirement that they apply for FAFSA because we're finding that many students do not apply for FAFSA because they may find the application process sometimes arduous, or sometimes they don't have the necessary tax documents, or their parents also have to be part of the application process if they're still living with their parents. So some of those initial challenges we help them with, but once they're in the system, it becomes easier. So we do help them make sure they access all of those financial aid.
Thank you for that response. Within your employees that are 100% funded by the feds, are there any vacancies on those NOPs that are not dependent on the general fund but dependent on the federal grants?
Yes, we do have vacancies on some of our federal funded programs. We are moving to, although we have slowed hiring down to, we almost, not frozen, but we have very much slowed frozen non-federal hiring, but hiring for our federal programs has continued. In fact, they are continuing to build capacity, and they are continuing to hire for different positions.
Is that the same case with the locally funded FTs? Are there vacancies at this moment?
There are many vacancies.
For the
Howe-
locally funded?
that are locally funded, yes, but we haven't been able to fill because we don't have the funding support to be able to fill them. So as a result, Mr. Chairman, many of the people that you see in this room who are locally funded are wearing not just one hat, not just wearing two hats, not just three hats, but 4 or 5, because we haven't been able. And one of the key examples that I just mentioned is the grants director position. We haven't filled yet because of funding limitations. So as a result, I have asked our team to become grant writers and learn how to write grants and learn how to manage grants and learn how to execute compliance activities, fill out closeout reports, and all of those wonderful things that come along with grants. It's not easy because a lot of them are new to it, but it's also part of our way of building capacity so that we're not dependent on one person or one office to write grants.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that response. In line, follow-up, recognize Representative
Just in
Raul.
line, did NMC change its policy? Because I remember last year, everybody's required to apply for FAFSA before taking classes. So does that change this year?
No, it has not changed.
So a student cannot register for classes unless they go into the scholarship or the financial aid part and fill out those applications.
Correct. There are some categories of students who are waived from that requirement. For example, international students who may not qualify for FAFSA to begin with, so they may not be required to fill up the FAFSA. And we have some other categories of students that may not be required, but for the most part, that is a requirement. When we did the retention surveys, also one of the reasons why students don't persist from semester to semester, one of the big reasons that they drop out of school is because of financial reasons. And when we find out, well, don't they have enough funds in FAFSA, then we found out that, well, they didn't apply for FAFSA. And so that's why we make that a requirement, so that they do have access to federal funding that they don't have to pay back, by the way. These are grants, they're not loans.
Yeah, my son is a recipient of the NMC FAFSA at one point, and when he moved to Cal State San Bernardino, he went from 7,000 to 9,000. I mean, 1,900. But like, why is Saipan to get more? And out there in the U.S., it's like not even.
You should have kept him at NMC.
I know, I'm planning to bring him back.
Do you yield, Representative Yumo? Okay, any of our other members that have questions for our folks from our PROA, NMC PROA? Recognize Madam Floor Leader.
Thank you, Chairman. And thank you guys for coming. A lot of good news, a lot of good things happening. And just in line with the FAFSA, my son is also a first-gen graduate, and we cannot be any more prouder that he had received the supports he got from that grant. It is a tedious process, especially if your parent got married twice and her last name is lost in the middle of all of that. But anyway, nonetheless, we had completed those forms, tedious process, and he was able to satisfy and graduate with his bachelor's degree in finance. So I'm very proud. My son is a NMC PROA, and he can say that for the rest of his life, and hopefully he comes back and pursues working for the CNMI government or private sector, maybe even better, open his own business. So we noticed that, education and a lot of the constitutional mandate agencies is really coming to the forefront right now because of this economic downturn. And this body is now responsible for approving, denying, crafting a budget that is constitutionally mandated and at least satisfy what it is. Because as we heard, the Secretary of Finance, at one point acknowledged that there's a difference between obligation, constitutional mandates, and discretionary programs. And there's a big ask because now we're being threatened with furlough. And it's not to blame anybody working for the government. It's really this economic crisis that the entire world is receiving. We're feeling it more because we are very isolated, smaller communities. But I have to say that you guys are making great strides considering what has been given to you. And I think I'm going to take this to Ms. Sablan. Thank you for the work you do. You mentioned something about your certificate program, which is tourism. And there's members of our tourism committee that also sit in this committee. And I'd just like to know, do you have any MOUs, MOAs with the Marianas Visitors Authority? Because they're also asking for some money. But if there is a plan to revive the only single industry right now, I need to figure out how to best work with the board, but also work with the only institution, post-secondary institution, to bring this up to fruition so that we can move money towards the economy through tourism, through your program.
Thank you for your question. I do want to preface this by saying that the Marianas Education Tourism Program that was deployed this year was not just a few months in the making. This was about a year and a half. It's not just the conversations that we have, with other government agencies here, like MVA, which we have. We are a partner with MVA, but they also have the responsibility for overall recreational tourism. And so what we're seeing now, globally right now is that educational tourism in the Philippines, in Taiwan, in Thailand, these are really huge programs that are profiting for these different countries. So why can't the CNMI also be an educational tourism-based location? And because we are the only post-secondary education institution here in the CNMI, why can't NMC also participate in, providing educational experience plus cultural immersion plus, tailored, customized programs? So the program that we created this year was not just a program that was cookie cut. It was actually customized specifically for the group that came. They were a part of a Shizuoka Breakdance Association. We worked and we actually met with the Shizuoka Congress people, the equivalent to, this body here. And we worked with them hand in hand to develop that, not just for the group, but for the prefectural assembly.
Okay.
So it was a really great opportunity. Yes, we are, working in collaboration with MVA, but I think it's, how do I say this?
What can we do more to help facilitate that program?
MVA has been very, very helpful. And so I guess just in support of, looking at tourism from different perspectives, not just tourism to bring people here to visit. It is what else is there to do. There's also education, them to learn English. There's also, natural resource management. There's also business, global business differences between, other countries and also between the U.S. That is our uniqueness, is that we are a U.S. territory that is so close to Asia. And they are looking for that American experience, and they can have that here while also sharing, our culture and all these different things. So thank you.
And so with that in mind, there's members of our legislature that have been really focused on educational tourism and seeing this fundamental change happening through this marketing strategy, if we want to put it like that. Have you developed or even spoken with MVA to develop some kind of marketing sister group? Or,
Yes.
And how long would that take? How can we speed this up a little bit, in a sense? We're hurting here, so
Definitely.
if we can figure out a way to design this MOU, MOA, or this curriculum and bring it towards, especially where, other foreign countries are looking towards the United States, especially in the Asia-Pacific region, which is not so far from where their homeland is. It would be a great opportunity to kind of figure that out and develop something that works for that. So I'm hoping that you can help, navigate that conversation. You guys have an extraordinary team, and all of this can fall into this education tourism package. So if you can bring that up and maybe meet with MVA, our committee would be more than happy to meet with you in collaboration with them and see how we can work together moving forward. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Yes, so I'm so sorry.
Congresswoman, I wanted to add to that. In addition to educational tourism, one of the things that we wanted to do with our facilities was to go, and I think this is something that's not been discussed as much as we want, is conference tourism. As you know, Guam is a hub for many of the conferences in the region because they have the facilities. Here in the CNMI, we have hotels that have ballrooms that we turn into conferences, but they're not appropriate for conferences because there are no breakout sessions. They're made for ballrooms, like big type of events. So our buildings at Northern Marianas College are designed with that in mind. So if in the future, once our buildings are completed within the next 2 years, we hope to be able to invite MBA to be part of that, or invite MBA to market or help us market conference tourism so that we can host, whether it's the International Coral Reef Symposium or whether it's the International Conference of Accountants or International Conference of other types of things, because Guam has been cornering that market for the Pacific for the past decade, and we want to be able to compete because we have facilities that are specifically geared toward having those types of events. So in addition to educational tourism, Patty will talk about regenerative tourism. In addition to ecotourism, we also have conference tourism so that our MDA doesn't have to focus solely on recreational tourism.
Right, and I think that's the part where we're really suffering. Because as you can see, you look around and all of the areas, Tapochao, and all these tourist areas where they go and they frequent, or they will frequent when they come, is poorly managed, right? And there's nothing wrong with thinking outside of the box. And I like where we're going here in terms of diversifying our tourism portfolio with education tourism and conference tourism. Is that what you said? And I think that I think MVA would be open to that. And I believe that we should maybe figure out sooner than later how we can bridge this and we can develop something moving forward. Because right now, you know, we're having a hard time. And if we can leverage through this type of marketing, maybe MVA with HandMe can pay for, on the conference tourism, you know, a discounted price for the hotels, you know, something like that. We can work with them somewhere. But I think we see a vision, and I think if we work our way towards that, I think we can get there. So I'm going to really encourage a meeting with the tourism committee as well as MVA collaboratively so that we can design something. I think you see something that needs a little bit more water. I think the seed's there. We just need to take care of it, nourish it, give it what it needs, and let it grow. So thank you so much. For fiscal year 2026, the National Defense Authorization Act authorized $1.79 billion for joint region military construction in the Marianas, submarine facilities, communications infrastructure, missiles testing sites, roads, and wharfs. These projects will drive demand for skilled construction, electrical, mechanical, and technical labor for years. Has NMC engaged with Joint Region Marianas or the Department of Defense about developing curriculum, apprenticeship pipelines, or credentialing programs that align with this construction program?
So we have had, under that act, there's several grant applications or grant programs that have been made available. We have submitted a couple to help us build up our facilities on Tinian especially. And however, it was not funded because they are, for whatever reason, we didn't meet some of the points that other applicants got. So for example, one of the projects that were funded were port infrastructure on Guam. And in that grant program, I don't believe there were any from the CNMI. Nonetheless, we do know that there is funding available from the Department of War through the NDA, the National Defense Act. And so we are working through different channels and through different angles to see how we could get funds and also build for the workforce capacity. Our Tinian office is working directly with the mayor's office on Tinian to be able to determine what are those high in-demand fields there, and if it takes a partnership or collaborative effort with NMTech or other institutions, we will do so. Because as I always say to everybody, NMC cannot be everything to everybody. So what we do try to do, what we do is partner with those institutions that are able to do it better than we can, so that we can leverage their resources. So a lot of times that is NMTech. So we have a close collaboration with them. So going back to your question, Congresswoman, whether or not we have received funds from the Department of War through that authorization, the answer is no, not yet.
Okay, next time just let them know that we're the tip of the spear and we welcome all money.
Oh, that was our opening statement.
Wonderful. And they still denied you? Okay, we'll figure out how we can put that in a resolution somehow. Okay. And I'm glad that you're working closely with NMTech, because I think I asked a question to the CFO at one point if if NMC is meeting its constitutional mandate by providing education and meeting its constitutional mandate in post-secondary education to all CNMI residents. And because I asked that was because when we transitioned and had NMTech, it created another kind of college for different kinds of learners. But the understanding to me is that you're stronger together. You leverage off each other, and I think that's great. So please continue that relationship with NMTech. You both are brother and sister in this journey towards, building this economy and building our people. NMC has earned 19 consecutive clean audits, the most recent in fiscal year 2025. This is a record of financial management that most government entities in the CNMI cannot reach. Has NMC ever been cited for misuse of public funds, reprogramming violations, or audit exceptions? I just have to ask that because it depends, right?
No.
Okay, wonderful. Because either that or we're not even complete with the audit from 2021. Okay, so that's good. That's good to know. And I don't think we should be penalizing people or agencies that have passed audits consecutively for more than 5 years. I think that's an injustice. I think that we should be rewarding agencies for passing clean audits. I was just asking the LA, Ms. Sablan, so under the CNMI Constitution, NMC is guaranteed an annual budget of not less than 1% of the general funds of the Commonwealth. Is that a true statement, Miss? Is that a true statement, Miss Vicky?
That's what the Constitution.
Okay, wonderful. And Public Law 953 sets a statutory floor at 6 million or 1%, whichever is greater. Is that still a standing? Okay.
Yes, it is.
All right, and the governor's proposal is at 5.8 million, which is 200,000 short of the constitutional mandate. Is that right?
5.8 million for scenario 2, and then 6.5 on scenario 1.
Okay.
There are outside sources also that would go to the NMC.
Okay, but in terms of the constitutional mandate for NMC, it would be great for them if they take scenario 1 the scenario in which it meets the statutory floor, correct? Otherwise, they'll sue the government, which we don't want because there's no money to sue anybody at this point. Okay, that's good. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. V. I just needed to put that on record because we might forget, especially when we're thinking about who to fund, why we're funding them, when it was very clear from OMB and the Secretary of Finance that there is a clear distinction between government obligation, mandatory, constitutional, and discretionary. And everyone's having a hard time, but I think we all can agree that there is a difference between the three. And I'm almost done, Chair, sorry. I had 11, but then it just kind of... Okay. So NMC has identified 4 major new facilities: Student Center, the Center for Research, Extension, and Development, the Workforce Building, and the CDBG-funded classroom. The CFO projected, this was last year, I believe, that the buildings would push an annual maintenance cost from $800,000 toward $10 million per year. Is that correct, CFO? With this new facility you have, is that correct?
If you use the formula for national standards, it'll
Yes.
be around, it's 10% of the total value of the entity. It doesn't mean that we will get there.
Right.
It's just that that's the national standard.
Okay, so you're just covering all bases right now up front.
From last year,
Anticipated,
that's
yeah.
the anticipation
Okay.
of what you're gonna.
All right. So if the 2027 appropriation, local appropriation, is 5.8 million, how does NMC plan to fund operation and maintenance of these federally or CBDGB funded facilities?
Congresswoman, great question. When we finish these buildings, so in addition to tuition and fees, we do plan to expand our revenue base by charging for the use of these facilities. That includes charging other organizations to be able to use them, facilities rental, room rental, space rental. And because we mentioned MVA, we do plan to, we are building a quad in the middle of our campus. It's a performance quad that you don't have to, you can have large events like the Taste of the Marianas, the Flame Tree Festival, and many other types of outdoor events where you don't have to string a 200-foot cable or extension cord, because we have those embedded within the design of our quad and can house it. So those are the types of ways we are looking for ways to expand the revenue.
Wonderful.
So the other thing is, on the expense side of the house, we're trying to reduce some of the expenses, which is why you have the college applying for solar panels, grants for solar panels on each of the buildings. In fact, for the student center, we were granted, I believe it was a $600,000 grant from the Office of Insular Affairs. This is under the Energizing Insular Communities grant to be able to put solar panels on the roof, so that we can reduce the cost of electricity. Reducing the expenses also allows us to reduce the cost of education for our students, and that's the most important thing, because what we don't want to do is raise tuition so high that they just elect not to go to school because the tuition is so high. And we don't want to just keep passing on the buck to them and say, you pay for our electricity. So what we're trying to do is make sure that we are coming up with innovative ways, not just in the solar panels, but in other ways we're designing the classrooms and the buildings so they maximize whether the wind or whether there are other natural resources to be able to help us reduce the operational costs of of maintaining these buildings.
Thank you, and I'm glad that you guys have a contingency plan, because again, it's all about managing and having sound fiscal responsibility. I like the idea that you're going to have, you have these fees for facilities. You know, there's plenty of divorced women that want to get married again, but they cannot afford to get married at, like, let's say Crown Plaza, because they have these huge conference rooms, and we might just want to get married there. I don't know. I'm not talking about myself. I'm just saying. Liven up the room a little bit. Anyway, my son's gonna kill me if he watches this, but that's all right. That's what a mother does, poke fun. Anyway, I think I'm in line. You know, where I'm at right now is I'm really trying to advocate hard for the constitutionally mandated agencies, and that's not hard to decide when you're looking at public safety, healthcare, and education. It's 3, and all of them, you guys are able to help in that. And if we shortchange one, we're shortchanging the other. And this is where we're also having this issue with, not an issue, but this concern with PSS, because when they graduate, the expectation is that they go into NMC as you receive them, right? Can you tell me how many of these NMC graduates, let's just take 2 years ago, fiscal year 2024, how many of them stayed and are employed right now in the Commonwealth? Out of your total number of graduates?
For 24,
Yeah, let's
I
do
don't have that
24.
information in front of me, Congresswoman. I can get that to you.
Okay.
But we do have that information collected and trending. So we have the historical data for that as well.
Okay, my last question is towards the CW, because that was asked earlier. Have you guys done a entire CNMI assessment on what the Commonwealth needs throughout Saipan, Tanin, and Rhoda as we prepare for this CW exodus? Have we done that? And is the CNMI prepared, Cross Island, prepared to receive, in the event, are we prepared already to say we have the workforce to sustain us?
I'll ask our CTI director who works closely with labor, and also, as I reported, the CW funds that we get is very small, right? So the funds are directly tied to those occupations that are listed in the ONET, or the top 10 different occupations that have the most CW workers with. So we do track that.
Okay.
But what we don't want to do is limit ourselves to just filling the occupations that are identified by CW workers,
Right.
because we need workers in all different fields and not just in those top CW workers. We need additional workers in other areas. So what we do try to do is make sure that we do monitor the trends, those top 10s, and we work, if it's not, so for example, if it's a hard trade occupation, we work with NM Tech and help build that capacity. If it's something with regard to, let's just say, management or retail management or other types of industries where we partner or we separate it, where they provide the hands-on training and we provide the related instruction training, we do make sure that we partner with that. But yes, the answer to your question is we do track what the changes are in those top 10 occupations, but in the past 5 years, that has not changed dramatically. And I'll ask Director Monique to comment on that too.
Okay, you can give that to us in a report, as I'm pretty sure we're going to knock it off here. And I'm trying to count all my questions before I get cut off because my colleagues need to ask. So just the last follow-up question. Would it make sense, Mr. Liptico, would it make sense, because we know that NM Tech was a nonprofit organization at one point. The CNMI's constitution says that you are also providing post-secondary, but it has been codified to include vocational, which CDI can probably fill that description. But my question is, would it make sense, because the CNMI government is also trying to restructure, would it make sense to partner and put NM Tech as a department under NMC, to leverage off more funds, to get more supports? I mean, I'm not saying that this is an idea that I'm going to throw out, but it's a conversation that needs to happen, because you are the only post-secondary education institution here. And we were trying to fix something with the development of NM Tech. And because now they're under the governor's office, it makes it harder for them to reach. They've got the capacity to train. They're very smart people down there. In fact, some of them were from NMC. I just would like to ask your opinion. Would that make sense, or do you see that as problematic? And it's a very professional question. It has nothing to do with throwing anybody under the bus, but it allows us now to really reimagine what this has to look like moving forward.
Thank you, Congresswoman, for that question. My direct answer to that, does it make sense? Absolutely, yes. And there are several reasons to support that. Given the limited resources of the CNMI right now, it may make sense to merge institutions to be able to avoid duplicative efforts. So, for example, we both have financial aid offices, HR offices, administrative offices that can be combined and leveraged so that minimal funds can be deployed elsewhere. I believe that if we were to do that, that will not be a unique situation where other states have also combined institutions. And you're right, it is more of, is there a will to do that? And I can't speak for NMTech, and I can't speak for the board of NMTech. I have great respect for CEO Jordina Attal, and I have an amazing amount of respect for her team and her instructors. Like you said, some of them come from NMC, but I also want to make sure that it is something that they would like to do if we were to pursue it. But on behalf of NMC, we are open to that discussion.
Thank you, and thank you for your point of view. Like I said, I am not trying to undermine anybody, most especially NMTech, and you're right, this is a conversation that has to happen both ways, and, you know, combining visions and goals and objectives must be uniform for both, and really maximizing on everybody. You know, we get territorial, I understand, but I think it's an alternative. Is it possible? Anything's possible. Do we want to do it? Probably not. Probably, I don't know. But thank you for your point of view. I appreciate it, and I yield my time.
Thank you, Madam Floor Leader. And before we continue with questions and answers, we are joined also by our Vice Chairman of the Ways and Means, Representative BJ Atto, and I'll be remiss if I didn't afford him the time to also ask questions. So you're recognized, Vice.
Thank you, Chairman. Good afternoon to UIP and the NMC team. I don't really have much questions, but on the current budget, is it up to date, the disbursements to NMC?
The 26 budget, yes, we appreciate the governor's office in transmitting the budget on a quarterly basis, and they are on time.
Thank you for that. For FY27, doesn't matter, either scenario, what's the hard number for NMC?
I'm going to do a dramatic pause. So one of the things, I'm not going to beat around the bush, Vice Chair. The cost of our non-federal payroll is at this point $7.5 million to $8 million. And that is something that's after we have allocated some payrolls we leverage federal funds. So for example, if an accountant is doing 40% of her work for a federal program, we charge 40% of her salary to that federal program. So even after doing that, we looked at every single employee to be able to do that. And even after doing that, it comes down to, again, between $7.5 to $8 million. And that's something we aren't able to find federal grants for because they do not fund payroll operations if they are not federally funded, fully federally funded employees. So if you ask me for a hard number, it really is, it comes down to $8 million.
And there's no special accounts that go directly to NMC, correct? I'm asking, I stand to be corrected if there's any special accounts.
At this point, other than the CW fees that are earmarked at 20%, again, I just mentioned that the most recent allocation was about 20-some thousand. There aren't any earmarked funding from different laws or other legislation that fund or that go to NMC directly, other than the appropriations.
The 20%, what's the average in the last couple of years?
It's been fairly low, well, not substantial. The last quarter, the CNMI collected $96,000 in CW fees. So NMC, through the Department of Labor, has been allocated 20% of that. So this last quarter was $19,000.
And how much do you get from the the CW Worker Fund, the federal side?
That's the CW fees. Yeah, that's the 19,000
And
that I
that's
just
about
mentioned.
3 million, no? That's about $3 million on that, Ms. V, is that correct? 3 million, 2 point some million dollars? And is it up to date?
If we were to calculate the number of contract workers that we have cap, given a lot of cap during the fiscal year, then it would be close to $3 million. But right now we don't even meet the cap. We're way below the cap right now.
Thank you for that. With this Pell, that new Pell grant that's coming out, that's going to be under the administration, about $7,300 plus dollars. Would NMC be in a position to work with the private sector so that it's paid for by these grants, or in our case, with the budget being the way it's been presented to us, do a transition workforce between the government side through the Pell Grant, educated by NMC, and into the private sector, like a transition, so that the monies go directly to NMC. We don't play it like the scholarship program where the monies go into NMC and then they take back whatever is remaining, meaning every single dollar is put into NMC.
Yes. You're talking about workforce spell, right? Okay, so workforce spell is, I can ask Ms. Monique to clarify.
Hi. Workforce Pell is the new federal financial aid opportunity that we are currently working on. It is very different from traditional Pell, the Pell that we know here at NMC. It still requires NMC to be the main receiver of the funds because we are the only Title IV institution here in the CNMI. But there's a lot of different things that fall under Workforce Pell. We have to show and provide evidence of in-demand, high-wage, high-skill. We have to work with private trainers, NMTech, ITS, NMC, etc. That is an opportunity we're doing, but it is also very much a Commonwealth, like state-level initiative. It's not just an NMC initiative. So I'm actually currently the chairperson for the CNMI Workforce Pell Implementation Group, and we're also working with the CNMI Department of Labor, State Workforce Development Board, all the stakeholders right now to be able to stand this up for the CNMI. It just launched in July. So technically no one in the US has necessarily implemented a Workforce Pell program or Workforce Pell or has received Workforce Pell funds. So we're still very much in the early pilot stages of this program. But yes, we are working on it right now to be able to leverage Workforce Pell as an opportunity for the CNMI.
Do you know how much the disbursement will be?
It is dependent on there are things in the federal mandate that will stop us from being able to charge necessarily the amount. So it's not like we can dictate and say we're going to charge $5,000 for this particular program. It has to be evaluated against what the completer or the student who completes the program would be making in the in-demand, high-wage, or high-skill job that program was created for. So there's a whole evaluation formula structure to define how much that would be per program.
Okay, yeah. So by the time this rolls out, it's probably next semester.
We're working on it, yes. We're hoping to have this start within this year. There are a lot of different federal parameters that we have to achieve first, right, before we initiate Workforce Pell here. Yeah. Okay.
Because this is something to consider, right, with NMTech and NMCs, maybe transfer the CW monies directly to NMC as like the holder of the funds, so that it can be funneled down that way. So it runs through your finances and into the other programs. Yeah. So it shows that NMC's got the funds with them, and NMC's providing the services based on the 110.229 and the 2029 deadline. And of course, with the assistance of NMTech, right? And then the extension over to the public school system. I know that NMC and the other institutions are working together, but is there something that maybe on the program side of PSS that can actually be inherited to your site through and NMTech so that the monies can actually be funneled back to you guys through the Appropriations Act to the public school system? Is that something that NMC, maybe the Board of Regents and the State Board of Education and the NMTech Board, is there something being negotiated to that extent? Because we don't want to duplicate stuff and take away from each other.
I can answer that. The short answer to that, Vice Chair, is yes, we can do that, and we can there are ways that we can streamline a lot of the funding sources to be able to allocate them more efficiently throughout the Commonwealth. What we have in place is good and it's decent. Can it be improved, and can it be made more efficient to deploy federal funding to maximize the impact? Absolutely. But that hasn't taken place. We have yet to come to the table as organizations, as educational institutions, as the Department of Labor, not because they don't want to. I think a lot of folks are just incredibly busy, also dealing with not just educational challenges. There are changes in the federal landscape and the federal laws that have come down recently down the pipeline, but also just things like recovery and things, other things that are going on. NMTech is building a building. We are building several buildings ourselves. So it's been an amazing amount of challenges that have really prevented us from getting to the table to see how we can streamline the funding to maximize the limited funding that we get from federal sources to all agencies.
At least in the local level, right? So right off the bat, 25% needs to go to PSS. And let's say that 25% is $50 million. And they have programs that can actually funnel through NMC. So instead of the money staying at PSS, they pay the money to NMC through PSS. So we circulate the money amongst ourselves while we grow, and then with the anticipation of to be able to utilize the numbers in applying for bigger grants. Kind of like what PSS is doing with the food grant, right? They include all the number of students in the private sector. Then they take that total number and apply for the grant. They get this X amount of monies and distribute it mainly to the public school system, not funnels down to the private schools. But that's something for us to be able to help each other, at least with the limited resources that we have, where we can pay each other and circulate the money amongst ourselves until we kind of get a better, a stable financial situation so that we can distribute more money to service the needs that NMC provides to our people and our students, right? So, not very many questions, but so 8 million is the hard number, not 17.9.
The college needs 17.9. And that's a real need. It's not something that we drew out of thin air. It was a very laborious process to put up the budget, and I want to thank the finance team for their work. What we try to do, Congressman and Vice, is the college, when we come to the legislature, we also try to help the legislature by bringing in external funds. I mentioned this last year that for all of our buildings, the 5 new buildings, we did talk about it and we got your support, but we didn't come here to say, can we have $100 million to rebuild a college for the community that you serve? We said, you know what, we will help you and we will relieve the burden of that building of a brand new college, and we will do our best to seek external funding. And we applied to I don't want to say hundreds, but it may have been hundreds of grants. But we were able to get some to build at least 5 new buildings. So when we put this modest budget request together of 7.9, it's really that it's to help meet the match for SBDC, the match for CREES, some of the recovery work that we do now. It's more often than not. Almost every month now there's a typhoon and we're shelling out tens of thousands of dollars. So it's making sure that we incorporate that. But What we want to do is make certain that we preserve the livelihood of our employees who are generating a lot of these funding to bring in additional sources to help the community. So at the very least, yes, Congressman, Vice Speaker, we are asking for $8 million.
Thank you for that, IP. And one last question. Would NMC be in support of a legislation that would allow NMC to get a line of credit, just to open it for the future, a line of credit up to maybe $5 million at a standalone statute, so anything down the road, NMC can always use that law as an avenue for you guys to start moving forward with a lot of your projects, knowing the fact that you guys are revenue generating, you're able to service that loan. Would NMC be in support of that, and what amount are you looking at?
Absolutely, and I think maybe our CFO can answer the specific amount, but the college is open to different ways that we can be more fluid with our cash situation. As you know, we have very limited cash, and especially in 2020, for the rest of 2026 and especially 2027, a lot of the grants that are paying for these buildings, we have to use NMC money first before the grants reimburse us. So that means we have to have some of this cash in the bank. So having some of those funds be able to be accessed from other sources to help us relieve our cash situation, because we have to also meet payroll, we have to meet other financial obligations. And I want to say that, and maybe there are other government agencies in the CNMI, but we don't owe long-term debt. We pay our CUC bill on time. We pay our vendors, our small businesses on time, because they also support families. So we try to do what we can to make sure that we are a very good payer of our bills. And that includes all of our obligations. And so we're not saddled with long-term debt, because that is also an accreditation standard that we manage our funds well, and we're not in a situation where we're living paycheck to paycheck. And so absolutely, to answer, going back to your question, Vice Chair, we do, we are open to exploring different ways of getting those funding, including opening lines of credit to increase our the fluidity of our cash flow. And Dean Patty has something to add.
Thank you. I had to say at least one thing during this Q&A period. But just based on what IP said, and what you brought up, Vice Chairman, because the college has been so diligent, as you know, with managing our cash flow, but because of those limitations on our cash flow, we really have to be diligent and decide as an institution when we go for big amounts of money. Now, CREES has, along with several other departments, have gotten significant amounts of competitive money, in some cases competing against more than 300 other applications across the land grant. But, can we, of course, I'm from CREES, so I'm going to be CREES bias here, but can we take all of the cash that the college has and say, hey, we need to sink it into all these grants for regenerative ag and everything? No, because the reality is, while other R1 institutions in the land grant system have significant amounts of state money, of endowments, we're not in that position. So we do take, as IP said, when we do decide to go for grants, and we've gotten rejected, many times, but we've got some significant ones, we do it very designfully and very intentionally. And Dave encourages us to ask what the reimbursement time period is for these things. We got to front load all these things because we have to manage our cash flow in a way that will allow us to continue to get clean grants and continue to keep us as a low-risk auditee, or like I like to say, a gold star auditee. So I just wanted to add that to the conversation.
President, may I help respond to that question? It's a revolving line of credit would help the college tremendously, considering that We are embarking on, as mentioned earlier, close to $100 million worth of construction that are coming in. And I said earlier that if we build it, they will come. And it's an economy base that will build 5 times over that. And that little revolving amount, whether it be what our credit worthiness would be, I'm assuming it's going to be more based on the value of our assets. 5 million would help for 1 quarter, but in reality, we just mentioned that we're revolving $20 million operations, and we actually are going to expect to go into $100 million ranges, depending on the timeline of the reimbursements. So we are good for the money if we get it, right? But us paying it back is a guarantee that we're going to work on the structure to make it happen. So yes, a revolving line of credit will not only help us, but it would help the CNMI have this new economy base that would bring in new students, as the president mentioned, and the deans and our team here, and build more entrepreneurship around. Having that security would help us. Thank you.
So the amount, 5 million, 10 million?
We're valued at about $300 million, but we'll take a revolving, we can negotiate a revolving amount. That's usually 80% of the total value, so hopefully that's a range.
All right, thank you. The only reason why I ask is because we need to have a ceiling, right? Because, I mean, you guys know, you're reading the news, it's out there. CUC is asking for a $40 million line of credit or bridge finances or a loan. We need to set a cap. And you guys are, like I said, NMC is revenue generating. And if we have that money, at least I'm sure with your 19 years of clean audits, lending institutions are not going to have a problem granting you guys, whether it's a line of credit, a loan, or a bridge loan, whatever types of financing, they will work with you guys. It's just we, as the government side, we want to make sure that there's at least a cap, so that we know that you can service that cap. If we just open it up, then everybody else from CHCC, CUC, they're gonna come here and they're gonna want that same deal that NMC got. So can we at least work on the cap, and then we can work on the legislation? It's not like NMC is gonna use it right away, but at least it's gonna be there, and it's gonna be able to service what NMC's needs down the road. Maybe it might be tomorrow or 10 years down the road, but at least we know it's there and it's available for NMC to use as a tool in its growth and its Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Vice. And I know that we are entering into our 3-hour mark already. Let me just the chair will get just a few more questions from the members. Let me recognize Representative Eli Rangamar.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before we got sidetracked with all these numbers, I know our Mr. Liptico said this was supposed to be about impact, so we'll go back to that. My question is on artificial intelligence. And in fact, before I stepped out, I had to take a call from Elon Musk. And apparently he said within 5 to 6 years, AI will be doing everything, and we won't need staffs on the campus. That's a joke, guys. Sorry. Seriously, though, but no, we all know that AI both impacts our workforce and also, positively, and there's a lot of opportunities. And I'm glad I searched and I found that you guys have created a policy on artificial intelligence, but fortunately I didn't have a chance to read up on all that. So can anybody maybe enlighten me on what this artificial intelligence policy is all about?
Sure. I want to mention, so there's several frameworks that when we talk about AI, and I don't want to bore you with a lot of those, but basically we want to approach AI in 3 different ways. One is to make sure that we are deploying AI at the college in a responsible and ethical manner. Number 2, that our faculty, our instructors, are using AI or allowing the use of AI from by their students in a responsible and ethical manner, but also making sure they're utilizing it and maximizing its potential. And number three, to make sure that our students, as part of their skill sets when we prepare them for the workforce, that they are preparing for a workforce environment that is AI enabled. So as you know, the pace of AI has dramatically changed in the last year and even in the last 6 months, and it's going to continue to change. So if I say to you, Congressman Rangmar, that in 1 year our students are going to be AI capable, that would be an outright lie, because AI is dramatically changing and the developments are rapidly also changing. So what we try to do is make sure that we develop the framework by which we anticipate some of these changes. So the policy that we passed, and I think this was about a year and a half ago, enabled the college to be able to anticipate these changes and make the college leaning forward, having a forward posture in anticipating changes that will allow both faculty, administrator, and student to maximize AI. We have already been asked by different agencies across the CNMI to do AI presentations, how to help make office operations more efficient using AI, how to automate many of the different manual tasks that AI can now handle. As you know, coding was a thing before, right? Now, computer coding is AI can do all of it, most of it, if not all of it. So it's changing especially in healthcare. There's also the deployment of AI there. So when you ask how are we making certain that our students are preparing for that workforce where it's AI enabled, that's what we are working on right now. And when I took over as interim president, I put that back on my priority list to ensure that our students and our faculty are continuing to talk about AI and how to deploy it responsibly, ethically, and in a manner that uses it so that we don't lose our students' critical thinking ability, that they're not just entering into ChatGPT or Claude or all the other platforms, all the work that they would have had to do with their critical thinking skills.
So in that understanding that you said it's changing dramatically. If you guys try to identify what kind of workforce like that these kids, when they come, let's say some from high school come in, they're undecided. They don't know where to go. You guys have something in place where you help these kids, like maybe identify, what workforce they can get in that's, going to help them in the future towards AI?
Yes, it's not. So when students do come to NMC, it's not. They're not they're not asked if they want to pursue AI. They are assigned academic advisor, where they are then asked, what fields they want to pursue, and that field may be changing as a result of AI. And so the curriculum within that field does need to change, and that does need to evolve to include some of those AI components that are now in the workplace.
I mean, that's what I'm trying to get at is any field, right?
Mhm.
AI is going to change every field. So
Yes.
if they get in, are they going to be AI going to be taught, like let's say in agriculture, right?
Mhm.
There's a lot of AI in that. So I'm just asking if we're looking ahead, look at like NMC. I just mentioned 5 to 6 years. That was a joke, but in 10 to 20 years with AI, what do you foresee with the school?
Yeah, that's a great question, Congressman. And I just want to say that, even with our regenerative agroforestry approaches, we actually use AI, and we've actually used it before it was mainstream, before it was cool. So, and we use it in a way that helps farmers actually simulate the canopy and simulate growth, so it helps advise when you should prune, when you can expect harvest. So it's an option for people. Some farmers are not as interested and open to it, but we definitely integrate the technology And Dr. Elovich, who's our main technical expert, actually has developed an application that helps integrate those things for the use of our farmers here. And it's in all of our, offered as a supplement in all of our training programs.
And Congressman, I just want to introduce Will Hunter, who he does not like to be called an AI expert, although by default he is, and is really our AI champion at the Northern Marianas College, and is leading some of our initiatives on that front. So if it's okay, if I ask him to help respond to some of your questions.
You guys have another 2 hours, right? For me, right? Because you're sparking a topic that I'm very passionate about when it comes to artificial intelligence. The reality is that AI is here. It's going to continuously grow. But like IP Frankie said, it's how do we use it responsibly and how do we teach our students? Like you said, I think when a lot of people ask me, we are preparing our students to be great learners, to prepare them for jobs that we may not even know exist within the next 2 to 3 years. When we look at even things like the 2029 deadline, I've been tasked with working with groups in my function to help NMC to help spread the word about AI and help prepare folks before what's coming. And so I know within the last 2.5 years, I've reached out to over 700 individuals and entities across the NMI to help them about this AI awareness and how to prepare for it. But the most important thing is, as AI grows, like IP Frankie said, one of the most critical things is the critical thinking. The human in the loop is going to be an important element. How we use AI, how we teach our students how to use it responsibly is going to be a critical factor. And that's where, as we develop, I mean, 2.5 years ago when ChatGPT, I was the first to run into our dean's office saying, do not put any rules, regulations, do not stop this from growing, because it's something that we need to embrace because it's here to stay. But again, it's how do we use it responsibly? How do we teach our students how to use these tools? Because the most powerful thing, I always feel, and I'm probably going to age half of us in this room, that our generation is one of the most powerful generations because we learned before AI came into the building. And now we're coupling the tools of AI with our knowledge. So we kind of know what our output's going to look like when we use AI. The new students that are coming in don't necessarily know that. So it's very important for us to couple those AI tools with the critical thinking, the general education learning outcomes that we teach at NMC, whether it's oral, written communication skills, and couple that with so that these kids are the most powerful kids in the building when it comes to using AI tools and being able to harness them. And it is rapidly growing. 2 years ago when I entered this, it was a different field. The tools that we use today are entirely different tools now. It's growing fast. So it's very important that we constantly stay on top of this. Of course, sometimes staying on top of that means making sure that there's funds available for NMC to make sure that we have the ability. Because for the most part, a lot of these things are available. They're free, but we're finding out that they're not necessarily always free. They cost money. And again, if we want our kids to be at the cutting edge of all of these tools, we need to make sure that they have the best in their hands. And to do that, sometimes it does cost money. So those are the things that we have to anticipate as we grow on, as we go forward. But like I said, I could be here for 2 hours. I do want to extend. If there's anybody here who wants to learn more about AI, wants to learn more about the tools, send me an email and I'll come to your office. Make 2 hours for me, and I'll sit with you guys. But I do. I love talking about it because it's a topic that's important to us. AI, one thing gives us. We're a small community. We got 47,000, starting to dwindle. But what it allows us to do, it gives us power, and it gives us, because we have limited capacity. If we can harness these tools, again, we can help in terms of competing. We're already seeing that happen because of the efficiencies that are happening with AI. I'm a one-person department in distance learning education, but I have a whole team of people that help me. But my other helping hand are the AI tools I use every single day. If I didn't have those tools, my life would be a lot more harder. So that's where I know, and that's why I've always kind of reached out to help the community because I see the power of how it can benefit us as a small community versus us, especially when on it where, what, like Dean Patty mentioned, sometimes we're competing with 300 some institutes which have a lot of revenue, a lot of resources, a lot of but AI can give us those tools. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and yield for any questions.
A question for Ms. Patty, the NMC Chris. Agroforestry and farming and all that is one of my passion, but I've got so many on my plate. But you know, I've attended a lot of your classes and stuff. What have been your challenges here, your NMC? I know you guys have been trying to advocate like healthy food and all that, but then we're still like getting people into dialysis and how do we get it? I think we got to go with the kids first, right? Start them early, but then I know you've been working on this for years. Can you maybe tell us where you're at right now with that, like in terms of data and like?
I prayed to God someone would ask me this question, and it came through. And I'm gonna try and keep it brief because this is one of my favorite topics of all time, especially because I'm the lead investigator on the Food Systems Research and Extension Integrated Grant. And there's not one answer. And we have the ubiquity of food that's caloric dense, low nutrition. When we think about the way things were when the CNMI had no non-communicable diseases, right? There were a lot of people who spent time in nature, who knew how to grow their own food, harvest their own food. And when we transition from that type of economy to a very, capitalistic economy, right? We give that up, right? That's one of the first things that's pulled is our ability to grow, raise, and harvest our own food. And that happens so that people have to work for the man or someone else. So I think there are a lot of things that occur, and when we think about what's the easy choice for food, it's not typically our own local traditional food, because we now have work, we have time constraints, cooking, preparing, etc. And I'm really glad you asked that, because we've seen a lot of positive outcomes and even more potential positive changes to the system when we start teaching people and actually giving them the skills, even on a small scale, to grow food themselves. And so we've, in a lot of ways, had that sense of like, we can grow our own food, we can raise our own animals for ourselves, we can fish ourselves, taken away from us. And so all of this work we're doing is really reclaiming that. And that's one of the powerful things about Pacific Islands regenerative agroforestry, is that it's rooted in how we grow food traditionally, which is in harmony with nature, very little reliance on outside inputs. We grew food here thousands of years without importing fertilizer, right? Without needing, all of these things now, which we're told and marketed to that we need to have these things to grow food, which in many ways is not true. So anyway, I'm just proud of myself for having that short answer, and I said about 500 different things that we could go on tangents on, but yes, and IP's like, Patty, get down off the soapbox. So, but thank you. I'm always available to talk story, and I know Dr. Adrian and Jerry back there are probably jumping out of their chairs to get in on the conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You may time.
Thank you, Representative Eli Rangamar. The chair will allow two more, and let me recognize Representative TJ. And then right after, I think Madam Floor Leader has one more question. You may proceed, Representative TJ.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. No questions. I just wanted to make a comment and commend you all for, again, all the good work that you guys are doing at NMC. I think it's clear and apparent to us that it's more than just a college. You guys are making an impact throughout the community in many different ways. And every dollar that's invested into this institution is only going to grow more investment within our community. So just for the record, I support NMC's request, and I know that it's a tough ask, but I think I speak on behalf of everyone here that we want to give you guys as much resources as possible, even with the current financial constraints that we're dealing with. So yes, thank you all, and as always, every year it's an amazing presentation, amazing work, and we need to try our best to get you guys to continue the good work that you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative TJ. Madam Floor Leader, please.
Thank you, Chairman, and I know time is of the essence, so I'm going to keep this short. We mentioned something earlier about the endowment. Somebody mentioned something about endowment. And we know that the Northern Marianas College Foundation was officially chartered on January 27, 1997. According to the charter incorporation, the purpose of the foundation is to raise money and invest funds for the benefit of the Northern Marianas College. The foundation is also tasked with overseeing a fund that consists of a number of sub-funds, the largest being the NMC Land Grant Endowment Fund, allocated by the federal government. Do you still have that fund? And is it, okay. Do you still have that fund? What's in that fund? And obviously a revolving account is separate from a savings account. So I assume it's in a savings account. And is it interest bearing?
So the answer to that, Madam Chairwoman, very directly is, Madam Congresswoman, the endowment, yes, we do still have that fund, and like you are correct with the dates, and we have had it over more than 2 decades. We have been raising those funds and adding to it in the little fundraising activities that we have, whether it's the golf tournament, whether it's holding concerts, or whether it's holding other activities. So we've been able to contribute to that fund and continue to grow it. And so my predecessors, however many stewards, we are the current stewards of those funds. And we said back then, 20 years ago or more, that we will not touch that $3 million until it has reached $20 million. And we have not. And what we have done is we have reduced hours in the past. We have taken drastic austerity measures instead of access those funds so that we can keep true to our promise to make sure that we don't touch it and continue to grow it until it reaches that 20 million threshold. And so as stewards of those funds, we take that responsibility very seriously. So back to your question, yes, we do still have those funds, and we are able to continue to grow it. It is growing very, very incrementally, I want to say. And again, every donation, every fundraising that we have, and a lot of the folks in here have participated in the golf tournament, and a lot of our employees have happily volunteered their weekend, given up their weekends to raise those funds to be able to grow that the endowment fund. So yes, we do have it.
And thank you. I just wanted to put that out there. I know someone mentioned it earlier, and it's good that you are being good stewards of that. Maybe a faster way to grow it is throw it into a TCD or something. But again, that is your discretion. If there's one thing that this body does not like to do is micromanage, but have a better understanding of how money grows, the investment, the human costs, especially as the Constitution mandates you as a educational post-secondary, the only one here actually in the CNMI. So that was just, I didn't mean to go left on that, but I had to ask because it is part of your portfolio as well. And so it's only fair that we ask every question that has to do with funds and fundraising. So that those funds cannot be used for any, you haven't used it in 20 years?
We haven't reached the 20 million threshold, and so
No.
and we it's embedded in the policy statement that we created for ourselves 20 years ago that we would continue to grow it. And I believe that the team here has raised it closer to I don't want to say we're we're close to being 20 million, but we're doing our part every year to put money in there, and so that we are inching toward that $20 million threshold. And we hope that we continue to grow it so that future managers, presidents, board of regents can then use those funds to pay for items that we don't have funding for right now. So we don't have, for example, funding for a parking garage, dormitories, other CIP projects that we don't have grants for. Yeah.
All right, thank you, and thank you for being good stewards. I really appreciate that. I yield my time, Chairman.
Thank you, Madam Flor. At this time, the chair wants to thank you, IP Frankie, on behalf of this Standing Committee on Ways and Means, for coming before us and allowing us to have that Q&A with you guys with regards to the budget, but most especially coming here and sharing the many successes that our NMC family, the PROA family, has been enduring over the years. We will work so hard to get you there to that hard number. I know that this is very fiscal challenging times. This is the most perhaps in the history of the Commonwealth, but we hear you guys, and before we even close, I'm going to give you the opportunity to deliver your last words. You have the floor.
Thank you, Chairman. I just want to give you, Chairman, the Vice Chair, and the members of the Ways and Means Committee of the House of Representatives our deepest appreciation for hearing us out and for asking the deep, reflective questions that you did ask today, because we want to make sure that we are accountable for every single dollar that you appropriate to the Northern Marianas College, and we want to show what we do with it and how we bring it back to the community. And lastly, I do want to thank our partners at OMB, Miss Vicky and Miss Jasmine. Miss Jasmine, who was here earlier, but who is also, by the way, an NMC graduate. So, we are, we do have NMC graduates across the CNMI government, but especially I want to thank our NMC team, who have been working really hard, and not just at the college. A couple of examples: we have a member of our NMC team member managing the Homeland Security JIC Center. Overall, all the announcements, that's from an NMC employee. We have NMC employees deployed during disasters like this to help the entire CNMI. So I just want to make sure that folks understand out there that when we are asked upon for help, we come through to assist other agencies on other instrumentalities of the Commonwealth, because we are part of this team, Team CNMI, and I hope that we can continue the dialogue and how we can help each other get to that goal of economic vitality, economic growth, and success for our people. Thank you very much.
Thank you, IP Frankie. So with that, we move further down on our order of business. We are now on item 6, announcement. Members, the chair will be calling a committee, Ways and Means Committee on Wednesday to tackle on some of those bills and communications that were referred to our committee. We will also be starting deliberating and formulating the budget bill starting next week. So be aware of the call. And to our viewing public, we thank you guys for tuning up and watching our deliberation this afternoon. So with that, we are now on our last order of business, item 7, adjournment, and the chair now adjourns this Ways and Means Committee. We are now done.